So good morning, everyone, and welcome along to this very special presentation where I have an incredible guest speaker, Dr. Melody Rodarte. I will share a little bit more of her story in just a moment and introduce her. But to begin with, I just wanted to introduce myself because I am a new face for many. So my name is Gillian Joyce, and I am a leader with LifeVantage here in Australia. And I know that we have people tuning in from all over the world this morning. So a big welcome, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you might be. My background is education. So I had taught for years, went to the role of school principal, did that for quite a few years before I took leave to have my children. And it was while I was on maternity leave with my second child that I was introduced to the company LifeVantage and their incredible products. And I have to say that I wasn't one to jump in quickly. I did spend a little bit of time looking at the research, the information. I am someone who does like to check everything out. I'm not quick to jump onto any sort of supplement. I like to know that what I'm taking is worth it, I guess you could say. And so when I looked at the information, I was absolutely blown away. My girlfriend who had reached out to me, she knew my family history. In short, I've lost a dad at a young age to cancer. I lost a sister after open heart surgery. So when it came to health and being proactive with our health, it was priority, and I always wanted the best. So I looked at the research. I was blown away with what I had found, the studies, and I know that when we've got people like Dr. Melody here, she can tell us all about the research and how powerful it really is. But even with my non-science background, I knew that when you've got places like the American Heart Association, the Skin Cancer Foundation, all those different places studying what we have, and getting the results that they were getting, I knew this was something that not only I wanted to use, but I wanted my family to be able to use it as well. And in short, I was not looking for a business, but the few people I did share with had some incredible results, and they naturally wanted to share with others as well, and it grew from there. The business opportunity for me came as a disguised blessing. I wanted to be home with my children, and although I wasn't looking for anything else to do, I was accepting the fact that I would be heading back to my principal role. This came as a disguised blessing and gave me options. So for me, I've now relinquished my principal role as of this year. It was a big step, but this keeps me home with my children, and I'm super grateful for that. And the beauty of this journey is that over the years, I have met so many incredible people along the way. We come from all walks of life, the family that joins LifeVantage. And I actually had the pleasure of meeting Dr. Melody in the Bahamas on a LifeVantage incentive trip. That was a couple of years ago now, and what a trip that was. But oh my goodness, she's just got such a beautiful heart for sharing, and she saw the power of what we have. And so Melody is a double board certified internist and obesity medicine specialist. She was actually named not once but multiple times as Phoenix top doctor. And she's also a doctor of osteopathic medicine from Midwestern University. She's also certified in hyperbaric medicine, wound care, and medical aesthetics. Her list goes on. She has so much knowledge when it comes to what we have. She really did her research. And when I met her and her heart for sharing what we have and knowing how powerful it is, I was so excited to be able to stay connected with her and be able to invite her onto special presentations like today. So Melody, we're so excited to have you here, and I thank you for joining us. I'm going to hand over to you because this morning you're going to be sharing with us a full overview. And as we go along, are you happy for people to pop any questions in the comments and we can have a look at those at the end? Is that okay? Wonderful. Thank you so much, Melody. I'll hand over to you.
Thank you so much for that warm welcome. And I'm excited to be with you for your morning time, my afternoon time of here. And, you know, it's never a struggle to share things that you're excited about. And so, especially in my world with medicine, my goal was always to educate and help people stay healthy and out of the doctor's office. So I'm just feeling very thankful that you invited me to do this. I'm so excited that we've continued to stay in touch. This is a family, being a part of LifeVantage. The person who invited you to this webinar, we can talk more about how our family works here. But I do sit on the medical advisory board, which gives me an even broader family here at LifeVantage, and I love it. It's just been a blessing. And so I'm going to share my screen in just a minute, but what I really want to share with you is a little bit about my journey too. So you know, I wanted to be a physician since I was 5 years old. It was important to me. I wanted to know how to put people back together, how to stay healthy. It just was a passion of mine. And I sought that out through my training and decided to become an adult specialist because I could empower them to stay healthy and out of the doctor's office. And if you think about it, 15 or 16 years ago, when I started in my first practice, it was very uncommon for people to hear that from my mouth. They didn't really understand why they would see me when they're healthy. And fast forward to now, people are getting it. They want to be proactive instead of reactive. They don't want to see disease of what they've seen in their families, or you know, in their siblings. They want, or in their grandparents, they're thinking, how can I prevent what's in my family lineage? And so if those are important to you, one, being proactive, and two, not succumbing to some of the diseases that might be in your genetics, this is the talk for you today. So I hope you learned something. I hope we pique your interest, and I can go on and on. So I'm going to share my screen, and we will get on to this. Thumbs up, you can see my screen okay? Okay, perfect. So this company began with a single question, and I love this question because hopefully I've alluded to it a little bit. Is declining health something we have to simply accept as part of getting older? And so the first discovery came when we decided that our genes contained incredible abilities to keep our bodies healthy. And we then discovered that we can activate those pathways. So when I was talking about, are you stuck with what are in your lineage? My answer is going to be no. We know now that up to 95% of our genes, we can help turn on and off. And so that is really what this is getting down to, is how do we help our genes express themselves correctly? There are about 3 to 5% that we can't do anything about, and we're not going to worry about those right now. But knowing that we have 95% that we can help out, that's the gift of health. And so we started using the word activation, and that is addressing the way we age. We can activate our cells. And so the root cause of aging, if you want to think of it that way, is oxidative stress. Some of you may have heard of this term. Some of you have maybe never heard of this term, but think of rusting. As something gets old, it starts to rust. Well, that's oxidative stress, okay? And so you can see here on the left-hand side that the body is constantly bombarded by oxidative stress. This onslaught of free radicals impact cellular function. That's a fancy word for saying how the cell works. And so what our solution is trying to reduce oxidative stress by producing antioxidants. So if you think about the last 100 years, we've really wanted to increase antioxidants by taking them. That's called supplementation. So there is a place for that. But what if we could activate our bodies to produce its own antioxidants? That's what activation is. That's the difference between activation and supplementation. You're going to hear me repeat those words multiple times through this, because the first time, you know, you hear it, you might be thinking, these are new terms. Some of you are like, oh my gosh, she's speaking my language. And so I'm going to speak to both categories in there. So if you look on the right, every organ system can be affected by oxidative stress. And depending on what your genes and my genes, how they express, will then may look like issues with our heart or our skin, our kidneys, our joints. The list goes on. And if you look in PubMed, that's where I do majority of my research, over 200 diseases, the root cause is oxidative stress. And so what can cause oxidative stress? our diet, I live in the US, so we call it the SAD diet in the US, which is the standard American diet. It's horrible. It really increases oxidative stress. There's smoking, medications. Some medications, you know, wreak havoc. My goal is for people to come off medications or use the least amount of medications. Pollution, inactivity, overactivity, alcohol, toxins, pesticides, the list goes on. So many things can increase oxidative stress. So the reason I bring this up, I apologize, I hit my button a little too fast. The reason I bring this up is what we want to talk about is how we can decrease oxidative stress. So I'm going to show you a small snippet. In 2005, John Quinones did an ABC Primetime Investigative Report. And some of you may or may have not heard about him. When you see his face, you'll probably recognize him. But we love him because he does these investigative reports and just helps us not waste our money or our time. And you might think about it being, gosh, 2005, how far back is she going? Well, unfortunately, in medicine, it takes numerous years for something new to become popular. And so what was shown back then was at the forefront. And so I feel that it's still important for you to know where it started, especially for our company. So we'll watch this, this quick. It's about 3 minutes.
You want to get an edge on turning back the clock? Who doesn't? Well, it's no longer science fiction, but science possibility, a potential breakthrough. It may not look like the fountain of youth, but inside this nondescript building, I'm about to become part of an exciting experiment. For me, it begins with a blood test.
It wouldn't be the first time I've given blood for this company.
They want to check my levels of something called T-bars, which is a rough indicator of a person's actual age. T-bars can identify a condition known as oxidative stress, a kind of measure of the wear and tear on our bodies. Oxidative stress, like the rusting of an engine, is not a good thing. The problem of aging begins with the very food we eat to give us energy. As our cells burn that food, they also release toxic chemicals. Those chemicals, you may know them as free radicals, react with all the components of our cells, literally bombarding them millions of times per second, damaging all our cells. So the result? Oxidative stress, and we all have it. The body fights back with a system of defenses. It makes two antioxidant enzymes, catalase and SOD, whose job is to gobble up the free radicals before they can harm our cells.
So, doctor, how often do I take these?
And so, here I go. With that swallow, I've just become part of a potentially landmark scientific experiment. It's called Protandim, and tests have already shown that it revs up the manufacture of those good enzymes in our bodies. More enzymes, fewer free radicals to harm us. Normally, oxidative stress, measured by those T-bars, increases with age, but taking just one pill of Protandim a day reversed that trend for everyone at every age, even for an 80-year-old. So just what's in this seemingly incredible pill? Well, actually, its roots are very humble. Protandim is a combination of 5 plant ingredients. Some you may know: green tea or turmeric, a spice used in Indian cooking. Others, Withania somnifera and Silybum marianum, are more exotic. High oxidative stress is associated with more than aging. It's been linked to hundreds of illnesses.
It's at the very center of many diseases: liver disease, diabetes, emphysema, asthma, all of these, strokes, heart attacks.
Even mental disease.
Yes,
Depression?
Alzheimer's disease, depression.
But what about my progress? After nearly 2 weeks now, it's time to get my results. The result? My level of oxidative stress has declined dramatically. Just look at where I fall on the graph, before and after. Have we turned back the clock? Maybe not on the outside, but deep inside within my cells. Yes, indeed.
We do know that oxidative stress is part of those disease processes. And I don't want to wait until I'm 80 years old and find out that I should have taken it.
The company that makes Protandim says its tests show the pill, made from ingredients used for centuries, is absolutely safe. For more, go to our website at abcnews.com.
So after that aired, people thought, oh my gosh, we just got to see John Quinonas's level of oxidative stress reduced by 45%. So multiple universities decided they wanted to start doing research with this product called Protandim. And I will tell you my story. 6 years ago, I was looking for something that would reduce oxidative stress. I knew about that term, and a colleague of mine had his wife show me that video. And I'm going to just tell you, I didn't show how excited I was watching it, because I thought to myself, if this is true, what if? And so I went home and I typed in Protandim into a search engine called PubMed.gov. So this is where peer-reviewed published data is. And there were 16 peer-reviewed articles for me to look through. This was 6 years ago. If you do it today after this webinar, there are 31 articles for you to thumb through and look through. And they're by major universities. I'll change it to this slide first. I mean, you can look on here and you'll recognize these names. And these are some of the journals. And I couldn't stop reading that night, because I thought, I usually tell my patients, tell me things over the counter that you are taking. And I will type them in, and I will notice there aren't any peer-reviewed, third-party validated papers. And I couldn't believe, by typing that name in 6 years ago, there were 16 for me to look through, including the first one I read was by the American Heart Association. It's incredibly difficult to get published in circulation. So we can talk about that for some of you science geeks that are on this. But what is oxidative stress? Remember, it's that rust, and what we want to do is put out that fire and shine it all up. Well, that is by activating the NRF2 pathway. And so there are 5 ingredients in this: milk thistle, bacopa, ashwagandha, green tea, and turmeric. And that blend, and I will tell you, I know that we have multiple international people potentially watching this. A couple countries might have one key ingredient that might be different. Again, we've done the studies though to show how we reduce oxidative stress. But this combination, this proprietary blend, will decrease oxidative stress by an average of 40% in 30 days and up to 70% with continued use. And then there are fancy words of the antioxidants that our body produces, like SOD, which is superoxide dismutase, catalase, glutathione. Right now, glutathione is a huge buzzword, and we know it's a very powerful antioxidant, and it's very helpful for our bodies to put out the fire. And so this pathway is helping support our body's natural ability to repair and rejuvenate its own cells. It's supporting our body's natural detoxification process, and it's allowing us to neutralize over 1 million free radicals every second. And so that is the pathway called NRF2. So hopefully some of this is making sense here. Let's kind of do another visual. So when you eat a blueberry, when you eat an orange, which I still recommend eating healthy, you are neutralizing 1 free radical at a time. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. When you activate the body's own ability to release antioxidants, you're getting a 1-to-1 million neutralization of those free radicals. So that hopefully you're kind of getting that visual. Some people talk about fighting a fire with a cup of water versus a fire hose and sprinkler system and everybody pouring water in to put it out. So that's another kind of good visual that I've heard people talk about. And so I personally like this because I'm science oriented, because I want to know why I need to take it as Protandim versus taking just those other ingredients, because I had been taking some of those ingredients that are in Protandim. Well, the study had shown that put together, this blend is 18-fold, there's an 18-fold increase in the expression of the antioxidant gene. This is why there are so many patents, both international and domestic, meaning the US, on this. You can't usually patent an herb. You can grow it in your backyard, everybody can grow it. But you can patent a blend that does something different than the parts by themselves. And this is what Washington State University has stated about the NRF2 pathway. NRF2 may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. 2 words on there that I love: therapeutic and preventative. What did we talk about at the beginning of this? I want to avoid disease. I want to be proactive, and I want to prevent. So I want to be able to help those cells. So let's put NRF2 on the back burner for a minute, and we'll talk about a couple other pathways that we can activate. So the second pathway is NRF1. And what we are looking at here is helping our mitochondria. Some of you might be thinking, I haven't heard about mitochondria since I was in junior high. That's about age maybe 10 to 15. And the difference here is we know more about our mitochondria than we learned about before. It's incredibly important for more than just being an energy producer. It's telling our gene how to express itself as well. And I had to retake, I shouldn't say retake, it had been 10 years for me doing my internal medicine boards, and I had to recertify a few years ago, and I couldn't believe that they were talking about disease being a mitochondria. If the mitochondria are unhealthy, then like cancers and things can happen. And we used to always think it was a genetic issue first. And they're like, no, it's a mitochondrial issue if it can't protect the gene. So I won't go into more detail there, but we need to protect our mitochondria. So the neat part is we have an answer. Protandim NRF1 does that. You might notice some of these names here, like acetylcarnitine, quercetin, grapeseed skin extract, alpha lipoic acid, coenzyme CoQ10. These are important, and what we're doing is helping our mitochondria stay healthy. And since they're the powerhouses of the cell as well, you're producing more energy, or ATP. And so by doing this, you actually improve your sleep and cellular repair. While we sleep, cell repair is happening. If our mitochondria are working better, we get better sleep, we get better cell repair. And it is supporting our cognitive and brain health, and supporting our healthy circulatory and cardiovascular system. So this is the pathway called NRF1, and it's helping mitochondrial biogenesis, a fancy word for helping our mitochondria live. So the third part that we want to talk about is the NAD pathway. So don't say NAD. People will know you don't know anything about science, so we want to pretend we know something. It's called NAD, and it's helping our sirtuin activity, okay? Sirtuins, think of them as the kind of the CEO of our cell. And so as we age, the production of sirtuins go down, and that is unfortunate, okay? So what we want is we want autophagy to start. That is the breakdown of the cell if it can't repair itself and live on. This is an incredible pathway that needs to happen, and sirtuins are in charge of that. And so our sirtuin activity is dependent on NAD production. And so this pathway supports healthy longevity. It improves mental focus and concentration. It helps a positive mood and motivation. Who doesn't need that these days? Supports our body's healthy inflammatory response. And that's important here. Our body needs to have a little inflammation so that it knows where a problem is. But if that inflammation can't be controlled, and if it becomes a wildfire, that is when there are issues. So we want to have a healthy inflammatory response, but we don't want it to become a problem where we can't put out that fire. And we need healthy cholesterol levels. I tell people cholesterol is not the devil. We have to just figure out the right ratios of things. Our lipid membranes, that means the covering of our cells has cholesterol, has healthy fats. And so we need to also support our vascular system. So you'll see in the middle there the ingredients that make our NAD synergizer. So we're not using, for those of you who know about the NAD pathway, we're giving the building blocks in order to support all avenues of NAD in our cell. And so these three put together is called the tri-synergizer. So it's NRF2, NRF1, and NAD synergizer. And what we are doing is activating our cells, these pathways that are incredible. Non-GMO, no artificial colors or sweeteners. And I'm going to get a little sciencey here. Remember how I talked about turning on and off genes? So what you're going to see in the gray are certain genes that we turn on by using these activators. And this is looking at one product alone and the key gene that it can help with activating. Then in the blue, what you're seeing is what happens when you take it as a tri-synergizer, that synergistic effect of helping the cell at multiple angles. So you don't need to memorize which gene it is. Just look on the bottom where you can see that we're helping with antioxidant production and detoxification, a healthy inflammatory response, helping our metabolic genes work, our mitochondria work, helping the NAD recycling pathway. That's the electron pathway that goes between NAD and NADH, which is very helpful for the cell. So this is a good summary for us to kind of just put away. What NRF2 is doing is it's addressing the oxidative stress theory of aging. It's helping our bodies detoxify naturally and release antioxidants, okay? The NRF1 pathway is addressing mitochondrial theory of aging, helping ATP production, helping our mitochondria support that gene process. And then the NAD is helping the sirtuin theory of aging. And so we are trying to do that to help with healthy longevity. How many of you want to be running around after your children, then your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren? That's healthy longevity. I want to be able to sit on the ground and jump up and run instead of being, stuck in a wheelchair as I grow older. The goal is to have vitality. That's healthy longevity, not just to live longer for the sake of having another birthday. And so I'm going to talk about just a few more products and we'll pull it all together. And that's because of what we're seeing right now. We've been in a pandemic for, over a year now, and we need to have a healthy microbiome because our immune system starts in our microbiome. And so I want to present to you a possible probiotic for you to know about, and know that there is a difference between probiotics. Again, this is the one that we have in the US. I understand there is one slight different formulation internationally, but again, we've done our homework, and what you're going to notice is you are going to see increased survivability of the probiotic by our formulations compared to other competitors, where even prescription ones that I was doing 6 years ago, 4 to 7% were only making it through the stomach acid. And what do probiotics do? They synthesize our vitamins, they absorb our nutrients, they help with the metabolism, helping inside of our gut. Our immune system, 80% of our immune system starts in our gut, and then our neurotransmitters are happy neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin. So, when you eat something and you're just like, you get kind of moody and grouchy and maybe tired, that's because it's telling your brain it's not happy. So there's that connection between our gut and our brain. And one of the products that we have in our probiotic is called the Wellmune. Wellmune has 12 peer-reviewed studies on that PubMed source for those of you who like to go to PubMed, and it's incredible by keeping the tight junctions nice and tight, not allowing things that are inside of our colon to get out into the bloodstream and cause issues. So this is our probiotic, which I think is incredible. And we have Smart, I call it Energy. I will tell you, 6 years ago, I did not do any energy drinks. I've worked in ERs, I've worked long enough. I saw what these highly sugary caffeinated beverages, and I wanted away from energy drinks. And then I learned about Axio, and what they did was they took that NRF2 potential, activated B vitamins with a few other ingredients like quercetin, DMAE, L-theanine, and put it into a powdered drink, and I call this brain food. I don't call it an energy drink because I don't love that word. I call it a brain food drink. And so this has pine bark in it, which is the NRF2 activator. These can cross the blood-brain barrier, and what happens? We have better neurotransmitter function. We are less bogged down by stress. We are reducing mental fatigue and brain fog. We have a better mood when that happens. And so it's low-cal, it's low carb. It's a vegan formula. I will tell you, I don't know if you guys know about this seal of approval. We in the States love the BSCG seal of approval. It's on several of our products. It's a seal of approval for banned substance control group. It's very difficult to get this seal. And what it's meaning is you're not going to be found doping if you're an elite athlete. So it's a very difficult seal. So this has that seal. So a lot of us use it before working out, after working out. I do it every day. Instead of my coffee in the morning, this is my afternoon drink. That's more for the smell and the taste, not really for the vibrancy that like Axio can give me. And there's a decaffeinated and a caffeinated form, non-synthetic. Okay, that is the key part to this. And it's less than a half a cup of coffee's caffeine amount, if for those of you who are wondering. So I wanted to pull together those specific items because I think it's important that you know some of my favorites. It doesn't make you feel like, hopefully, that I've overwhelmed you with a lot of products. But I feel those are key because right now, a lot of us are trying to figure out how to stay healthy, how to not get sick. For us in the States, I live in Arizona. It is the hot spot for COVID right now. The other thing is we're in our winter, and so we're worried about flu as well. And I love to tell my patients, my friends, my families, when they're like, what are you doing? I tell them I am making my body a host of virus or a bacteria or something else doesn't want because it's functioning properly. It's not something it can take over. And so that is why I'm excited to share those specific things with you, because when our body's under less stress, when there's less oxidative stress, you know, when our mitochondria are working, when our brain is working, we are doing better. We're more apt to take care of ourselves and not become run down. And that is what I was looking for 6 years ago. My son has an autoimmune condition. My mom was now a 2-time survivor of breast cancer. And I wanted to know what else I could do to help them through their journey. And I'm thinking to myself, my mom had breast cancer in her 50s and she was healthy prior. Like, how do I protect my genes? How do I protect my daughter's genes from this? And so the wheels started to turn and I started to do research when I saw that ABC primetime. And I will tell you, I haven't stopped because now I am intrigued that we can activate our cells instead of just supplementing. And we can be more active about how we age. And so I did join this as a business. I love when people are like, you're a doctor, don't you make enough money? And I like to say, I'm 20 years out from medical school and still paying back my loans. I have dreams. I like having a plan A, a plan B, a plan C. Who doesn't like to, you know, have multiple streams of income? And this is in my wheelhouse. It's only it's discussing what I already love to do, keep people healthy. And so I have teamed up with LifeVantage, and this did allow me to retire my husband 2 years ago and replace his income. So one, he could retire, and then two, now he runs my office. I started my own medical practice this year. And so it's just amazing the people you meet, and all of us are very driven to change the world for the better. And health is definitely one way of doing it, because when we're healthy, we can go conquer so many things. So anyway, I thank you so much for allowing me to share today. And if you do want me to stay on and answer any questions that might have popped up, I'm more than happy to do so.
Oh, Melody, we're so grateful for all of that valuable information. You know, I listen to you and I learn so much every single time. And for myself, not having that science background, you know, I guess at the beginning I was like, oh, can I share this if I'm not a doctor or a scientist? And I'd love to ask you just quickly, so you have grown an incredible team. You have been sharing this for many years. Is your team made up of all doctors?
No, and I actually enjoy bringing on like my teachers, soccer moms, people who love sharing. It's usually females. I do have a few males that are very talkative, but no, because I will tell you honestly, they're more busy. Not to say that I'm extremely busy, but some of them, you know, I will tell you, I would rather have somebody who's not a physician, because then they're not as, they're a little bit more apt to sharing, and they also want another stream of income. I will tell you, I was lucky enough when I first started my first practice, the physician I joined looked at me and he said, as an internal medicine physician, you will always be in the red. Just know, insurance companies are not going to repay you what you're worth. You need to find other streams of income if you want to continue practicing and being happy. Okay, that was the keyword, and being happy. And so I started doing some wound care. It paid very well. I started doing my own skincare business that paid very well. You know, and so I already had in that mindset of being an entrepreneur, what were things that I could do that were in my same wheelhouse. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to sell candles. I'll talk to you about the one I bought and that I love, but you give me a probiotic that, you know, is head above the rest, I will talk your ear off. And so, you know, it fit. So I typically, those who do the business with me are those who are talkative and just as passionate, and those who have had a great story from starting to use the products, and they do want to share because they just feel that it's, they have to tell people that there's something there. Whether or not they use it or not is up to them, but at least they got to share something that's incredible.
Absolutely. And there's no shortage of incredible stories. And for those joining us today, if you are not in one of our groups which share these incredible success stories, please reach out to the person who invited you to get you inside those groups and just see the hundreds and hundreds of success stories. And those are just the people that are willing to share their stories. Quite often, health can be quite a personal, private matter. So not all stories are shared. You know, it comes from just those conversations that we have. I know that when we have meetings and face-to-face opportunities, we do hear a lot of wonderful stories. But I completely agree with you, Melody, that when it comes to sharing this, it's purely comes down to the passion for the products. Like I said, myself, not a science background. My personal sponsor, a beautiful girlfriend of mine, she drove trucks in the mines. So she certainly didn't have the science background to deliver the information. What's beautiful about this company is that we do have a lot of medical professionals that are happy, like yourself, to share the information, but we also have incredible resources and tools to share. So you don't have to be a scientist to know it all. It's just that heart for sharing and liking to have a chat every now and then. So thank you so much for joining us today, Melody. We are so grateful for your time. I know that you have an event to get away to this evening, so I do appreciate you taking that time out. And thank you to everybody who joined us live today as well. I will have this recording available for those who were hoping to get on in the group, and I will share that with those. So thank you again, and have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thank you.